What's happened there though? Because everyone keeps throwing this stat about, which I'm sure you've seen, about the expected goals being 5 so far.
Yeah,
Different circumstance. You're sitting here on 6 points and quite happy, aren't you?
yeah, yeah. But it was entirely predictable, wasn't it? I mean, I did say pre-season that we hadn't done enough business. Probably nothing was going to change. We'd struggle to score goals. We're prone to conceding. I tried to tell everyone not to get Pickford, but no one listened. Um,
Well, I think
the
some
cat,
did, Sean.
the caveat. I mean, if I haven't got him, if I post my team and I haven't got him, that's kind of like don't get him. But anyway, um, it was with Keane in the team. It was just we were just not going to keep clean sheets. It's just a bad combination. Panic spreads through the defense. So if you know we're going to concede a goal pretty much every game, we're not we're gonna struggle to win, aren't we? With especially with Dwight McNeil being out injured, Damari Gray not being picked because they're prioritising getting him out the club. Most of the players that we have sort of brought in are injured or not available, and it's like I could well see us, struggling to score, and yeah, the games were we had a lot of chances, obviously the two home games, but a lot of them were they weren't great chances. But then when we did get them, they'd inevitably fall into Mope, and I've never seen a striker just hit the ball at the goalkeeper so often in my life. It's ridiculous. It's like he's aiming for the keeper.
I mean, yeah, I'm just thinking back in terms of chances, like the Morpay 1-1 against Fulham, the Decore 1-1 against Fulham, both in the first half. The disallowed goal, which probably
Well,
should have
that was
counted.
yeah, that was there was nothing wrong with that.
The Sar save from
Oh,
who had the header
I
into the
think it was
ground against
Doucouré
Wolves.
won it. I haven't watched
Yeah,
it again. I think it was
you
Doucouré
you don't want to, mate.
because there was I was at the back of the main stand, and most people around us were like, "Oh, how's he missed?" And it was literally me and one other fella that like looked at each other, and we were like, "Oh my god, how did he save that? That is like that is a world class save." It just at the time, like I say, I haven't watched it back, but it just seemed phenomenal the way the fact he saved it and kept it out.
So my point stands, right? You could have won both them games. I forget Villa.
Yeah, I
You could
mean,
have won
yeah,
both them games.
yeah. If we score, and then obviously we don't concede. Yeah, it's not it's not a massive stretch. That we're on 6 points, but the fact is we're not, and it's like we've got to now. I mean, Fulham were good last season, weren't they? They won about 7 games away from home, so a lot of people were thinking it was a really good opportunity to win, but we don't historically normally win the first game anyway. But I think because Fulham were missing some key players, like Paulinho was missing, wasn't he? I think it was Mitrovic was on the bench, wasn't he? So it was a real good opportunity to start the season strong. They played really well. I think if that goal's given, which it should have been, then potentially we win the game, don't we? And then it takes a bit of the pressure off. But to have no points from those first three, it just feeds into what we were talking about, where we have to
Yeah.
get points on the board early on, or the pressure's just going to get like really, really, high.
That said, though, I've said this week, Tomo, that I think this is a bigger game for you than it is for Everton. Do you think
Yeah, I
that's
would agree.
fair?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Due to the fixtures, I think coming up, we've got tougher the fixtures. And I think there's a bit of a high right now after the last 2 games. There's a lot of positives to take out, especially from the City game. And then we've got players through the door now. I think if we win on Saturday, it's gonna be a big boost. And I think we might shock a few coming up in these fixtures.
The problem is if you don't win Saturday, you look at the fixtures afterwards: Tottenham away, Newcastle at home, West Ham away, Fulham away, Manchester United at home, Arsenal away. The neutral is going to look at that and go, I don't see them winning any of the first 10.
Yep. And he just comes straight back to COVID season, right? We didn't win first 10 games, and then the hole's too big to get out of.
So are we already in must-win stage for you? Is this must-win on Saturday?
Probably is.
Or is it must not lose?
I think it's win. I want to say it's a must win, but I just don't see many teams down there winning at the moment. That's the other thing. I think there's enough teams in a similar boat that are in trouble, and have similar fixtures, right? I mean, unless they play each other, I don't see where a lot of teams are getting points from.
Sean, how do you see this at the weekend? Does it feel must win to you? Or if I offer you a point now, are you happy to take that?
Well, no, I mean, no, they've got to win. They have to win because we're on no points. Ordinarily, a point I would have took if we'd have won one of the first 3 games. Because we haven't, if we're sitting there on 1 point after 4 games, with Arsenal to come, then potentially we're on one out of 15, and that's shocking. With the fixtures coming, and the focus will just be on the manager then.
Is he under proper pressure?
Big time. No, I don't know. I mean, I don't think he is, but he I think he will be very quickly if we've only got 1 point or no points from the first. I mean, if Everton have got no points from 5 games and 15 available, that's he's gonna get the sack.
I don't feel like soon. I should be the one to say it's Brentford away in game week 6, which looks pretty tough as well.
Well, exactly. I think we've got Luton coming up, haven't we? And
that's the bit where I think it's probably more important for Sheffield United, because I've obviously gone through their fixtures up to game week 10, and you do look at anything sugar. The ones that look okay are probably the away games. So you struggle to see the points. Whereas for yourselves, that double header of Luton at home in 7 and Bournemouth at home in 8, you're very capable of putting the 6 points on the board there. It's difficult to see where Sheffield United can do that. And I'm sure Sheffield United will pick up points over that run. But it feels like there's a little bit of grace there for you with those fixtures against Luton and Bournemouth. There'll be huge pressure on them. But you'll go into those fixtures arguably as favourites.
Yeah, I just think he's got to. I just think he's got to beat Sheffield United. I think he's got to beat Sheffield United to be able to get through the Arsenal and the Brentford games. We normally have good games against Brentford. It's weird how sometimes you play teams, don't you, and the games always go like a similar way. And we're normally in it against Brentford and normally get points against them. So I could see us getting something against them. Arsenal's going to be difficult. Obviously, we beat them last season, but we're lightning strike twice. I'm not so sure. So if we don't say we get a point, and then we get beat by Arsenal, and then we only got a point, say at Brentford, that he's just, there's going to be massive pressure.
It's worth saying the 3 games you've had so far, you got 0 points in them last year. You lost at home to Fulham, you lost at home to Wolves last year.
Yeah,
you obviously lost at Villa as well. And as you already mentioned, you beat Arsenal and actually I think you took 4 points off Brentford last year. I'm pretty sure you drew there quite early in the season, then beat them in Goodison in the winter period.
Yeah.
So from corresponding fixtures, if we remove Sheffield United as a fixture, it was 4 points from the first 5. So I can see why that pressure's on despite the corresponding fixture of the first 3. Tom, I'm interested to know, if you beat them at the weekend and then Monday morning Sean Dyche has been sacked, what's your reaction to that?
Everything's going down.